Greetings, planeswalkers. Gamesman here. One of the quests today is black and green spells, so I figured I would review this deck concept entitled Elvish Darkness. Black and green concept. We'll go over this in case you'd like to duplicate it or modify it, which everybody likes their own take on decks, so maybe use this as a framework. So first, our concept is black and green. It's got an elf theme, so you'll see a lot of Elvish or Elves in the deck. We start with the Duskweilder. It's a very inexpensive card, has a little bit of utility. I think as a common card, it's better than average. It's 1/2, plus it has the boast feature. Elven Bow, again a very inexpensive card to bring another elf into the battlefield. Jaspera Sentinel, again another cheap elf. Taraju Nightblade, Death Touch, and then a little bit of land option or a +1/+1 counter with Vastwood Fortification. Into the 2 mana cards, we have the Elderfang Disciple. These are more of the utility spells in the deck. This one for, of course, discarding cards. This is one of the keystones of the deck, the Elvish Warmaster. Obviously, every time an elf comes into the field, we get a warrior token. And then once we get enough mana out, we start pumping the elves up for attacks. Inscription of Abundance, great card. I really like cards that give you options, and having a kicker gives the card utility both in the early game and the late game, depending on when you need it. Rabid Bite, everybody should be familiar with this card. It's a pain when your opponent has it, and it's great when you have it. Reckless Amplifier, another elf, again, has some early late game usage as well as, or I should say, some good early game utility as well as some late game utility because we can double power and toughness. Roots of Wisdom will mill cards and bring land or elf into your hand. If you can't, you draw a card. Great card for this deck. Sculptor of Winter. We've got some snowlands in this deck as well, so add some utility. And again, another elf, Taraju Paragon, and you find a Cursed Idol rounding out the 2 mana spells. Another one of the keystones of this deck is the Boreal Outrider. We've got snowlands, obviously, so we're going to get not only more elves out, but elves with +1/+1 counters. Khalni Ambush gives us more land option. King Harald's Revenge, in keeping with the theme, the Realmwalker is nice because you can look at the top card of your library anytime and cast creature spells of the chosen type from the top of your library. Obviously, the theme being the elf or elves in this deck. Harald, King of Skemfar, gives us some more utility and is another elf warrior. And we can find what we need in the top 5 cards of our library when he comes out. Into the 4 mana, we've got some rare cards here. Accomplished Alchemist, another elf, gives us mana. It's a pretty beefy card with a 5 toughness. Canopy Tactician is another elf warrior and automatically is buffing all of our elves +1/+1 plus 3 mana if we need it from this card. This is a really good card. You could potentially go with 4 of these cards in this deck and not make a mistake. Obviously, it would be a little expensive crafting or paying for 3 more rares, and I've considered it in the past. Who knows? Once I build up enough rare cards, maybe I'll throw them in here because I like this deck. It's kind of a fun deck to play. Elderleaf Mentor. We've got another token generating card. Tyvar Kell, of course, in keeping with the theme. Plus, we can create more elf tokens. This one keeps with the theme and is what I used originally for the box cover. And obviously this fits in well with the theme. Given this is a black and green deck, Shessra's Death's Whisper, more of a utilitarian card with its high mana cost, but has some utility if we need to. I'm not big on the Bewitching Whispers aspect of the card, but the Whispers of the Grave certainly would be useful in the late game when you've got enough tokens built up. Return Upon the Tide, pretty expensive sorcery, which is why I only have one of them, and we can obviously bring elves back that have been killed or destroyed, and with the number of utility spells we have on the elves, that's very useful, especially in the late game. And then as we go over the lands, there's obviously a lot of snow lands to support the Boreal Outrider and the Sculptor of Winter. I like a fair number of the land artwork in this deck, which is why I have multiples. Darkboar Pathway, rare land to give us either or, and same with the Deathcap Glade. Skemfar Elder Hall is neat. Once you get enough mana built up, we can maybe kill a creature, possibly, or just reduce its power and toughness, and we create more tokens. Woodland Chasm, of course, another snowland, but gives us the option. And then Base Camp, as we kind of consider that, in keeping with the theme, we've got this Elvish War Party as part of the deck. So, I think it's a fun deck. It's a fairly quick deck, and speed is one of the primary aspects of decks in Magic the Gathering Arena. If you played for any length of time, you know that a deck that is slow usually doesn't do well. A deck that is fast usually does in general. It's rare that a slow deck does any good. You typically have to have a great initial hand with everything you need. Otherwise, a quick deck will finish the game rather quickly. And this deck is fairly quick. I would say that the key cards are probably the Elvish Warmaster, the Boreal Outrider, some of the enchantments like Harald Unites the Elves. If we're just getting out 1 mana elves, we're not going to do well until we start hitting some of these utility spells in the 2 mana range, or the other spells in the 3 and 4 mana range. But all in all, it's a good deck. I think it's fun to play. I like the theme. And the Elvish Warmaster, if you get him out fairly quickly and you get a good number of elf creature cards, you will rapidly overwhelm your opponent with so many elves they don't know what to do with. And it's got enough graveyard manipulation that if you're losing some of these key cards, like the Elvish Warmaster, the Canopy Tactician, Sculptor of Winter, you can bring them back and prolong the game at least to get some of the more powerful cards out. So, I hope you like the deck review. It's a neat deck concept. I've played it for a while, and because today is the it's black and green deck day for one of the quests, I thought I'd detail it. If you'd like, leave comments in the comment area. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm sure I've got cards that I could use in this deck that I don't have. I'd love suggestions along those lines. If you have a concept like this, we might discuss some of the differences between yours and mine. Build it, play it. Tell me what you think. Rate it 1 to 5 on how well it does for you. So I hope you guys like the deck. Happy gaming, and so long from the gamesman.